everyone. My name is Ann Marie Beale, minister of Unity Church of the Cumberlands. Well, this last week was Ash Wednesday, so Lent has begun. And I always say each year that, thank God, unity is not about suffering or giving up something. In unity, we stress transforming our states of mind so that we can finally live the truth that we believe in. And there's a wonderful story about a woman who wasn't living the truth that she actually believed in. You see, she was out driving a car, and there was a lot of traffic, and she was feeling stressed. And she ended up tailgating the man in front of her, so that when he had to stop real quickly at a children's crossing, she was really upset, almost hit him, and started yelling and screaming and shaking her fist and giving him the finger and all that kind of thing, honking her horn. Made such a commotion, someone called the police, and a policeman came, and he asked her to step out of the car, and he arrested her. He took her to the police station, took her fingerprints, her photograph, put her in a holding cell for hours, and she became even more furious. And finally, when they released her, she demanded an apology from the policeman. And he explained to her what happened. He said, well, I'm so sorry for the mistake. You see, I pulled you over, and I was behind your car, and I noticed that while you were honking your horn, giving the man in front of you your finger and yelling at him, I noticed that in your rear window, it said, "Follow Jesus." And you had two bumper stickers. One of them said, "God is love," and the other said, "Follow me to Sunday school." And to top that off, there was a chrome-plated emblem that said, "What would Jesus do?" So naturally, the policeman said, naturally I assumed you had stolen the car. Now, we can laugh at that, but don't you see yourself in that sometimes? It's so easy to let go of anger and fear when you're in church on Sunday. And it's so easy to love each other when you're with like-minded people. And it's so easy to know your oneness with God and each other when you're meditating or in prayer. But it's a whole nother story to live those truths day in and day out with the stresses that we experience in the world. And we often react from an habitual state of mind. And our minds are like computers. They're programmed from the collective around us. Carl Jung coined the phrase collective consciousness, and he also said collective unconscious, which are those hidden influences that we're not even aware of. So if the collective consciousness are the influences of all the beliefs, thoughts, words, attitudes that are out there, that are affecting the whole human race, since we're all one, the Course in Miracles always reminds us, you are never alone in your thoughts. You're never alone in your thoughts. Now that could keep you up till 3 a.m, couldn't it? Nee. Well, the collective unconscious are again those hidden influences that we're not even aware of. They're not our own personal influences, but they're out there in the collective. So that when we're driving down a road with all the other cars, we're all in conscious agreement of the rules of the road and that we're all driving this road together. But each car under the road, each driver, is under their own unique experience that's different from every other driver. And two archetypes, that Carl Jung would have called them archetypes, are the race car driver, who's very driven, and he treats it like an aggression, like a competition out there on the road. And then there's the other extreme of the archetype who's like a monk, very calm, very much obeying all the rules and in harmony with all the other drivers. And then I'm sure there's a whole wide range in between those two. My point is, we have our individual experience and the collective experience. And this holographic collective reality that we live in feels so real. And that's why each of us are having our own reality, where we're reacting and being affected in ways that other people may not be. And so it's always a choice for us. We could be drawn into the collective dramas, or we could simply, like the monk, know our union with the divine, no matter what's going on. We just live from that knowing of our oneness. That's why Jesus said, be in the world, but not of it. Be in the world, but not of it. And that's the discipline that we look forward to during our 40 days of Lent. There are so many options in this world we live in. First, we can get stuck in what I call the fourth dimensional collective dramas. We live in the third dimension, and the fourth dimension is the collective thoughts and words and every belief that the collective has around us. Or we can move through that to the higher, fifth and higher dimensions where no man has gone before, where we can rise above the world in our mind. Another option is in this third dimension, we can find like-minded friends and co-create a new world from a whole different way than the world has been expressing. Now, humans have the power to create and manifest, but often we manifest just the opposite of our desires. And that's because our thoughts and feelings are not in harmony. We may have the thought of something lofty, but the feeling of fear and struggle gets in the way, and we end up demonstrating and manifesting the opposite instead of our desired choice. So if we don't heal that emotional body, our emotional beliefs inside of us can be triggered, and we have those reactions, like the woman driving in traffic. And we can say, well, I'm so over that. I'm healed of that. But then somebody says the slightest word or does the slightest thing, and there we are reacting again. And that's why it's so important during Lent to heal those hidden emotional wounds inside of us so that we can be in the world, but not of it from a reactive state. And when that happens, we can resist the world, we can fight it, we can blame others for it, or we can choose to heal and transform our state of mind. Now let's look at 3 ways we can do that in Lent. I'm sure there are many others, but I'm focusing on these 3 ways this Lent. The first is through forgiveness. Can you imagine all of us spending 40 days in constant state of forgiveness? I'm not saying we condone what's happened in the past, but we say, you know what, I choose to let this go. I choose to see it differently. I choose to find the blessing and to go forward from this place. That's what real forgiveness is, freeing yourself. And what happens in the outer to trigger us is just pointing to those places in us that haven't been healed yet. And so we can say, thank you for triggering me today. You've pointed something in me that I know now needs to be healed. That's forgiveness. The second way is through meditation. Now, prayer works too, but it is often said that just a moment or so in the quiet state of meditation where you really connect with your union with the divine is more powerful than 1,000 words of prayer. In that state of knowing your union, you just totally let go and allow the divine presence to move through you. And that presence is able to dissolve all those old issues, all those old wounds that need to be healed. The third way we can do it is through spiritual discipline, whatever spiritual practice is yours. And I don't always use the word discipline. I don't like that word. It feels very restrictive and constrictive. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and so I kind of rebel at that constrictedness that the word brings up in me. Talk about a trigger, huh? Discipline also takes time. You have to have patience for it to work. And also, in my religious upbringing that I had as a child, the word discipline often meant punishment. No wonder I don't like that word. But the word discipline in Lent is a much gentler discipline. It's a practice of focusing on the truths we believe in to allow those truths to transform our mind. Be transformed by the renewal of our mind. And so our way of fasting is to fast on limiting beliefs. Fast on all those things in your life that are not of truth and love and joy. And feast on prayer and truth. You know, whatever we continuously and constantly focus on, we become. Every day Mahatma Gandhi would pray the prayer of St. Francis until he became that instrument of peace in the world. So whatever we focus on, we become. And the ultimate discipline is going beyond words, taking yourself into that experience of the divine presence in whatever way you're able to do that. Lent is ultimately about discovering your wholeness. The Course in Miracles talks about wholeness in a beautiful way. We're told in the Course in Miracles, your holiness reverses all the laws of the world. It is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. Your holiness is totally unlimited in its power because it establishes you as a son of God, at one with the mind of our Creator. Through your holiness, the power of God is made manifest. Through your holiness, the power of God is made available. And there is nothing the power of God cannot do. Your holiness, then, can remove all pain, end all sorrow, and solve all problems. Wow. Quite a bit to look forward to. Isn't that worth 30 to 40 days of the spiritual discipline of living and becoming the truth you believe in? So this Lent, go ahead and eat your chocolate and discover your wholeness. Now we're going to have a little time of prayerful meditation. But first, I want to thank you all who continue to support Unity Church of the Cumberlands during this time of quarantine. We hope to have a resurrection service this Easter Sunday out in the park. But until then, if you choose to support us, you can go on our website, unitycookville.org, and click on the donate button. Or you can mail your tithes to 823 East 10th Street, Cookville, Tennessee, 38501. So let us close this with our prayer that we say every Sunday when we're together as we bless our offerings. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And I'm grateful for my husband Michael and his Native American flutes. And now he'll lead us into a time of quiet, meditative prayer. So now, let us relax into the beauty of that music and allow that inner peace to come forth. We release and let go of that inner race car driver that races around trying to do too much, and center into the here and now, like the archetype of the monk who knows oneness with God, oneness with each other. We find that center of peace in that knowing. We live, move, and have our being in the flow of divine grace, and all is unfolding around us in perfect divine order. We are in harmony with what is. We are in harmony with all those around us, each one reflecting an aspect of ourselves. Each one there for a reason. And so we embrace each experience. We allow it to trigger us, to point the way to our healing, to transform us. We allow that inner working of spirit to transform mind, body, emotions, all in alignment with our highest spiritual being. We are one with God, one with each other, and one with all life. And we allow that oneness to bring us to our full expression of our wholeness. We are whole, we are perfect, we are one. And we do pray these things to the very nature of the living Christ within us all. And so it is, so it truly is. Amen.